So, Max Verstappen wins the Italian Grand Prix. I feel like in some small way to spite me, because I made a really big deal last week of going, woe is me, there's no way that Norris can catch up now. 34 points seems relatively catchable, but McLaren will definitely get a 1-2 in every single race between now and Abu Dhabi. And I was immediately wrong. If you're going to be wrong as a professional, unprofessional pundit, then be wrong immediately. And it's a set of circumstances which I think we were fair to say, okay, that's the general rule of thumb. But Stuffy in the preview did a really good analysis of why he thought McLaren wouldn't be dominant at Monza, and that perhaps it wouldn't lend itself as well to the McLaren strengths in the same way as it did in Canada. And that proved to be the case. And Matt, there was also an interesting kind of technical wrinkle with Verstappen making a big decision with his rear wing before Saturday. But firstly, why were McLaren slow here, and what did Max do to make the difference?
Fundamentally, McLaren, the DNA of their car is they have really good downforce. They have excellent rear tire usage. It's an extremely important part of their package. And so the first thing to consider is we're on a track where there's almost no degradation. So immediately that big advantage is neutralized.
And that is why sort of Max could sort of take a bit of a risk with a lower wing, I guess. The low deg is really key in that.
It absolutely is. You're not really worried about overheating the tire so much. And on top of it, even if McLaren went with their lowest downforce package, it would still be significantly more draggy.
Really?
Than the Red Bull package, whose ultimate DNA is their biggest advantage is in a straight line and high-speed corners. And there's not a lot of low-speed corners. There's the one chicane, turn 1 and 2. And that's like really the only low speed area of the whole track. So it very much fell into Red Bull's natural strengths. They also brought, I believe, a floor update. I'm not sure if they ran it or not, in addition to the special wings. So it was always going to be a stretch for McLaren to have dominance. They could still win, but if you looked at how they went about qualifying, you would see that they went for qualifying pace and defending because they were very fast in the turns, but they weren't really super duper fast down the straights. And ultimately, either they got a little bit wrong or it was just not a solvable problem given how the car is constructed.
Everyone else is fast on the straights. We got to be fast in the turns.
It's the opposite. It's the opposite, isn't it? He goes,
anyway,
they have a shell beaten in the corners, so we have to beat them in the straights.
The thing here was where McLaren, it's 120, 140 mile an hour corners. That's where the big strength of the McLaren is. And that's what the majority of the season is fast corners.
Yeah, like Saudi Arabia, you can really see them disappear.
Correct. But with this, it's all about big stops and traction. And it's why you keep seeing, I mean, not today actually, but you keep seeing them getting mugged off the start line because I don't think they've got the best traction off the line. So when you've got to have lots of big starts coming out of chicanes,
rocket launches,
that's where they're losing out on the speed and they can't use the key strengths of their car.
Now, another thing you brought up was Max's rear wing. And I just want to make the point because I heard a post-race interview with Alex Albon, trust me, it relates, saying that they have a rear wing, I forget what they called it, but their low downforce rear wing makes the car drive beautifully. And if you think about Max's biggest complaints, what is it? I've got no front end. The car won't turn in. Well, what do you think happens when you take 3/4 of the downforce off of the rear wing? Well, that shifts the balance forward, and suddenly it makes the car a lot more drivable. Listen to him. He barely complained about the car at all during the race. He was happy. And it's
happiest Max we've seen in a long time.
Well, yeah, as happy as he's ever going to be, let's say. But it was definitely a car that was much more suited to the way he likes to drive. The bad news for him is outside Baku and maybe Vegas, I don't see them using that rear wing anywhere else. So it may be, we may be returning to the norm once we get to other races.
Well, Leclerc was talking about races where Ferrari might have a chance. And I think by Ferrari might have a chance, he means McLaren not dominant. And so the ones he cited were Baku, Vegas, did he mention somewhere? And Singapore. So he said of the 8 remaining rounds, He said there was 3 there, and actually that's quite a lot. That's quite significant in the will McLaren finish 1-2 in every race. So yeah, Leclerc's looking at those to maybe not suit McLaren as much, and I think by implication that's where the other cars like Red Bull can kind of pull a Verstappen like they did this weekend.
Yeah, and that is great news for us because it means we really have genuine racing to look forward, including for the win and not just between 2 drivers on the same team. The other thing that struck me, I don't know if this struck you too, but Max didn't seem to be getting the benefit of that turn 1 call at all. Now, we did criticize Lando for being a bit cautious. I think he listened to our show because he seemed very spicy on that first lap and he got away with it. And he even admitted to it afterwards.
Yeah, that was quite an aggressive move. I think that we can talk about that without it falling into our whose fault is it section. But we've got a grumpy comment in the Patreon Discord. You can join them there in our live chat by going to patreon.com/missedapex. Sean sarcastically says, so in conclusion, Max drove a car that suited him and it's not actually a miracle drive. No, it's a really fantastic drive. I started this by saying, hey, look, figuring out that you can have a rear wing that suits your style and also will have an advantage due to the low degradation is genius. Driving the car in Formula One isn't all about just, I turned the steering wheel real good. If you make a genius call like that, I'm absolutely attributing that to the majority of his success over the weekend. Alex?
The setup direction, that change that they made between Friday and Saturday, or Saturday practice and Saturday qualifying, was entirely Max's decision, and it was completely adverse to what the team wanted to do, and it was what Max decided they wanted to do, and it brought the car alive.
Yeah.
So listen, I've had my rants on this show about Max for many, many years, but I think he has been absolutely superb this year, and he was in a class of 1 today, and he literally did exactly what he needed to do and performed admirably and was just absolutely phenomenal. And it hurts to say it, but yeah, he is, at the moment in F1, he is the best driver by a clear margin at the moment.
Can I just say, I do say lots of really good things about Max, and I think our biggest TikTok that we got was like 500,000, 500,000 was critical about Max, and because there's loads of comments. It might have been one of the 20 times he's punted someone, because he does do that though. He does do that though. All right, and then I did a tweet, for example, earlier where I'm like, he maximizes his results and responds really well to not having a winning car last week, and it was like four views on TikTok. So sometimes that's just what the algorithm dishes out to you. But yeah, I think it was a very aggressive drive at the start. Obviously, at the start, we didn't know the balance of power between those 2 cars. So we didn't know. I don't think it was reasonable for anyone to predict that they would have blistering race pace and be a good front-running car there. It was still then essential for him to get past the McLaren. He might not have realised that he had that much of a pace advantage today. And so when we look at the onboards, I think it would be fair to kind of go, well, it looks like they've prioritised qualifying there for 1 lap pace. They've got this amazing feature now on the telly where you can be on board with one driver and you can see the ghost car of the car they're competing against. What an incredible feature. It's amazing. You could see exactly where the advantage was. And actually, out of the traction zones, over qualifying pace, they did seem to be level. So they'd come out of a corner and they would be together for parts of it. And then that Red Bull would disappear. So from turn 1 down to turn 2 is Curva Grande to the right. So the chicane 3 and 4. Down to that curve, you see Verstappen disappear. And then as you get to the corner, you see that the McLaren's having to do a lot less to turn into that corner, and it catches up. And the same through the Lesmos 1, Lesmos 2. I'm always very careful how I say that.
Lesmos 1 and 2.
Yeah. And then into, hang on, what's the fine? Is it Tamburello?
Ascari.
So Tamburello's the first.
Ascari chicane.
Tamburello's a different track, mate.
Tamburello's Imola.
It's all Italy, isn't it? It's all Italy. It's Italy.
It is Italian.
Matt put a track map in the notes for me on this one, but because I normally ask for a track map, but I don't need a track map for this.
Okay.
One of my favourite tracks in the world.
So you've got down the main straight, and then you've got Crapio Chicano, turn 1 and 2.
Great chicane.
You've got Curva Grande.
Chicane 2.
What's that?
Lesmo 1.
What's chicane 2 called?
Ascari.
6, 7.
What's chicane 2 called?
4, 5.
Is that it hasn't got a name?
It has got
Varianti.
a name.
No, it's not.
It's Filio.
There you go.
Ratifilia.
Ratifilia, there you go. Then you've got the Lesmos, and then you've got
Ascari.
Yeah. So in Ascari, you could really see that the left turn looked like barely a turn for the McLaren. And so you could see like the huge difference. But then down the main straight, Verstappen's just gone. So yeah, I've lost my point now because I'm just trying to remember all the corner names for Italian tracks.
The point is there's not enough corners for McLaren to make up the lap time they lose on the straights to Verstappen. That's really what it is. They couldn't bring a compromise to this track that would have put them equal on lap time. But I think the difference, the difference is I don't think Red Bull predicted how well these tires would hold up because these are a new construction. They had graining issues last year. I think Max was correctly driving as if I need to be in front because I think with my superior straight line speed, I'm pretty sure I can defend against the McLarens.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to suffer, relatively speaking, with my tires a bit near the end of the stint, near the lap we need to get to for me to win this race. And it turned out just not to be true at all.
Do you know
when I saw the wing difference between the McLaren and the Red Bull, I was like exactly what you just said, which was he'll qualify on pole, but then about 5 laps before the McLaren, he'll start to struggle with his tyres. They'll catch up, and that's when the change will happen. If you'd have told Red Bull that they were going to finish this race 19 seconds in the lead, they'd have laughed you out of the circuit.
Yeah.
You know, I think they thought they might have had a fight all the way through and maybe just lost out or maybe just won. There was no way anyone thought going into this race that there was going to be a Red Bull dominating it.
Yeah, but they did, and it was down to them. No, it was not a fluke. It was not a circumstance of the track. It was opportunity that they grabbed, and in no small part down to Max Verstappen's engineering and setup, brain and decisions.